What's up, gamers and collectors? DGC back with another video, and today it's the final video of the year where I talk about all the games that I beat in the year. And this is something I always look forward to every year because it kind of just lets me reminisce on everything that I played throughout the year and kind of really relive it a little bit for a couple of minutes and talk about all the great experiences that I had. So let's talk about it. Alright, so this year I kept the list on Twitter as a pinned comment, as I do every year. I'll do another one starting in 2024. I already started on a new game that definitely is not going to get finished this year, so it's going to be the first game of 2024. Have a handy dandy little list that I wrote down. Keep that over here on the side. So the first thing that I played, some of these are digital, and now I know, DGC, what the fuck, you're a game collector. Yeah, well, I just haven't gotten around to getting these for physical on PS5 yet. I'm working on it. I'm kind of waiting for some sales in some of these. The Witcher 3. So they finally released the next-gen update as well on the PC. I played it on PS5 and PC because CD Projekt Red likes to do this cool thing where they are consumer-friendly. You can save the game, and then it goes to the cloud, I guess, and then it's just playable on... You could even do Xbox, PlayStation, and PC and cross-save all of... and play on all of them. That's just cool. That is consumer-friendly right there. So when I figured out that you could do that, at the time when I was playing through Witcher 3, again, I played through the full story when it came out, and then I played through it again a couple years later, and this was my third playthrough of the main game, and then the first time playing the DLCs. And we'll get into that in a second. So I primarily played it on the PC, and I even bought the very nice, and I love it to death, the best, Alienware 34-inch 3440 by 1440p OLED with HDR10, beautiful black levels. Everything about it is fantastic. I only buy a new monitor every typically 5 or 6 years. Basically every console generation I try to upgrade and get a nice new monitor. I'm still rocking a 3080 Ti, so I could mostly max out The Witcher 3 because it's a pretty old game even with the next gen patch. There was a couple settings I had to tweak down just a hair. It looked phenomenal, but then even playing it on the PS5, I'm more of a, I love beautiful graphics, but I'm more of a frame rate whore. If a game is not at a steady 30 or a steady 60, and then on PC, I'm that guy. It's got to be a steady 90 plus on PC for me to be happy. But if it's on console and it's at a steady 60, I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. So they got Witcher 3 running at a steady 60 on the PS5 and the Series X. I don't know about the weaker consoles, but on the PS5, it definitely runs at a solid 60 as one of the options, or the other option is 34K. I play both options. Both options are good, but you know, so the reason I went to training for work, 2 separate weeks, full weeks, up in New Jersey. I live in Maryland, so there was a point in time where I was contemplating buying a gaming PC or a gaming laptop and taking it with me. I was like, I can't do that just to play The Witcher. That's kind of ridiculous. So I was like, then I found out that you could kind of cross-save it and play it on the consoles with the PC save file, which is just a really cool idea. It really is. I wish more companies would utilize that idea. But so I took the PS5 with me, which is a huge system, and I used that while I was at training or whatever on my off time to play Witcher 3, and it was fantastic. Funny side story about that. It was in the hotel. It was a Marriott hotel. Not horrible, but not great. TV was 768p, I think. So we're talking basically sub full HD at that point. So it did not look righteous on the PS5. It looked absolutely horrendous. But nevertheless, you don't play The Witcher 3 for the graphics. You play it for the story and the gameplay, and graphics are a good side effect of it, but mainly you pay it for the story and the gameplay. But so played that on the PC and the PS5. You obviously, most of you have probably played the main story. The DLC is what really made me want to jump back in. So it was Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine. So the Blood and Wine one is where the vampires come into play, and you're up. You kind of travel upward away from like the Nilfgaard area. I forget all the names of different areas. But so you travel upward, and they kind of have like, almost imagine like medieval Canada is kind of like what I imagined while I was playing, because they all had like a French and or like Canadian accents. At least that's what it kind of sounded like to me. But so I really, well, maybe it was more of an Italian accent. I don't really know. It was some kind of foreign accent where a lot of them. Well, yeah, because you meet two like knights, and I want to say they had a French accent if I'm not mistaken. It's been since January, February since I played it, but they had some kind of foreign accent, and then pretty much everyone up there did. Toussaint, that was the name of the place up top, in the top of them. Or no, actually, it was in the bottom of the map. But just so when you're traveling, right? I think you get like a letter, and then it doesn't really matter. Actually, no. Depending on how you beat the game, the main game can affect some of the shit that happens in the DLCs, which is just kind of mind blowing that like a game would do something like that, right? So like I got the shitty ending on this one, where Ciri leaves to the Nilfgaards and goes back to the king, and then I think everybody leaves Geralt in the ending that I had, unfortunately, I think. And then I remember, I forget what the dwarf's name is. As soon as the video is done recording, I'm going to remember. Fuck is his name? Sultan? Yolton? Something like that. I can't remember. For the life of me, I can't remember. But either way, so I think he was the only one that ended up visiting me, because you get a house in the DLC, you can build it up and furnish it up, put all your armors and your swords on the wall, and make it all nice and whatnot. But I remember, the thing I distinctly remember most about that, and again, maybe it was just blowing me away because of the new cool HD ultra wide monitor, but when you're kind of just traveling through the land, going down south, you just get to these open fields, which is beautiful, and it probably was just because of the monitor, but just these beautiful, lush fields of pink and purple and yellow and white and blue just flowers everywhere, and just like, like imagine that like old school Windows, was it Windows XP? Like wallpaper where it has like the hill on it or whatever. Just imagine that, but just with flowers everywhere. That's just like the opening of where you're walking to Toussaint. And it was just, it was a great DLC. It really was. And then I played that first. Then I played Hearts of Stone. Hearts of Stone was cool because you were kind of more, it almost kind of felt like Dishonored in a way, in the sense that you were like, at least to me, you kind of felt like you were like a bounty hunter. Because the main villain guy, he kind of gets like a curse from this other guy who's kind of the villain too, really at the end. And no spoilers, I mean, this DLC's been out for like 6 or 7 years at this point. Again, I don't know all their names. I forget. The one guy, he's like a ginger, and he's got like a half mohawk that's like folded over, and he's got like scars on him, and then he like lives forever because he got like cursed with immortality or something. I forget the story. Honestly, I do. It was good though. The story was very good. But so I remember doing that, and just kind of having, you were basically his bitch, and I forget why, but he like somehow made you his bitch to where you like had to do his bidding, and he basically sent you on missions for him to go like murder a bunch of people and just do all these different things for him. And then I remember there was this really cool mission where you get like abducted, and you're like in this boat, like this wooden ship, obviously back in the day, and you're kind of like going across, and then you meet like the sand people, kind of like I don't know, imagine like old sultans and that kind of stuff, like that kind of garb and dress up, and with like the scimitars and everything. And then you wake up on a beach, and there's like a little palace thing, and it was just a breathtaking experience. And so, at this point, The Witcher, it's over, but it's not over. But we don't know if we're gonna get Geralt, or if we're gonna get Ciri as a main, or if we'll get Geralt again. And I want your guys' opinion for if you've beat it, or if you're playing it, or if you want to play it. For me, I think it would be kind of silly to not at least give Geralt one more run. I think they need to give him one more run. I think what Witcher 4 could be, because technically there's 7 books, I think, maybe 8 books, but they condensed them and they changed them up for the games slightly. But then they really changed it for the TV show. After Henry left, I just stopped watching it. Sorry, Netflix. You can't cast the perfect guy and then get rid of him and then expect people to keep watching it. Just saying. But so, what I would like to see with that, and I promise all the other games, I'll try not to gab too much, but I don't know. Fuck it. I want to talk about these games and whatnot. But so, for me, I would like to see Geralt kind of train Ciri to be a Witcher, and then maybe from that, maybe then have a trilogy of Ciri games. But alright, so that's enough of The Witcher. Next up, I think I put these in order if I'm not mistaken. I have quite a bit of Switch games here, but again, I promise I'll try to be quicker about some of these other stuff. But so Tears of the Kingdom, still didn't technically beat this one yet, so it's sort of in my list, but sort of not. I have over 160 hours in this game, so I feel as if I've played enough of it to where, like, I'm kind of just dicking around at this point. I haven't finished the actual main story. I haven't seen the credits roll, but like I'm at the part where you're getting to the 5th stage, collecting all the pieces, and I think I have 2 of the things maybe. I've done 120-ish shrines. I think there's about 150, so I'm 30-ish away. That's kind of where I'm at with this. This will probably be in next year's video once I like fully beat it. And then also and again, I didn't finish this one either, but I put a lot of time into it. And again, this will probably be in next year's beat it list. Pokemon Scarlet, I would say I'm about a third of the way through this game. It's a long game, and if you want to really look around for the different little items and try to catch a lot of the Pokemon and kind of explore and play the game the way you should, you're going to probably spend a good 50 to 100 hours in this game. So I want to enjoy the game. So I'm not rushing through it. I'm kind of just taking my time playing through the game. So didn't beat it yet. But I did spend, I don't know, probably a good 30 or 40 hours in that game. And then I kind of just braked because there was just so much shit coming out. Alright, so next up it says I did Resident Evil 4 on the PC. And again, I wanted to experience it on my nice ultra-wide monitor with the HDR and everything. And again, the 3080 Ti almost maxed the game out. I have a 5950X processor and 32 gigs of RAM. All that's on an SSD. So it, there was like a few settings I had to turn down. Beautiful looking game. Now, mind you, I'm someone who had Resident Evil 4 when it came out, or very close to it. Not launch day, not even like within a couple months of it, but within the first year that it came out, I had the game on the GameCube, and I remember playing through it many times. It's been a good 20-ish years since the last time I played it, so it had been a long time. So I was very hyped for Resident Evil 4, and I really wanted to play it and jump back in and really enjoy it. They changed a few of the sections. Everyone makes it out like they changed so much about the game, but they really didn't. Like, to me, a lot of it is largely the same. I mean, some of it, like, aesthetically looks better, and then the way you traverse through shit makes more sense. But largely, it's mostly the same, in my humble opinion, from what I remember. A lot of it looks the same. There are very few sections that are a little bit different. Some boss fights are different, just because they were like made easier to like make sense with the way we play games now versus the way we did 20 years ago. At least that's just my humble opinion. So again, super enjoyed Resident Evil 4. Next up, if you're subscribed to the channel, then you already know about this. But if you're not, be sure to subscribe. It's that little red button down there. It lights up like a rainbow when you tap it. Go ahead, look at it. Yeah, you didn't know that. I didn't know that till the other day either. So later on in the year, and after you're done watching this video, go check it out. I built like a nice little shelf. It's like a wire shelf, and I put all my consoles on it. And then I was like, man, I haven't played Genesis in forever. So then I popped in the Legendary 6-pack. It's probably one of the best values of gaming to ever come out and exist. 6 great games: Sonic, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Revenge of Shinobi, Calms, and Super Hang-On, all in one cart. Fantastic value back in the day. And this is a really good, like, if you're like a young collector, like just getting into collecting, and for some reason you want a Genesis and you can only afford one game in this hypothetical world, get this one because you're getting 6 games in one. The only one that I technically beat on here, again, although I played all these while I hooked up the shelf and had everything hooked up, and I was like, I want to play some Genesis, was Streets of Rage. Beat that again for, I don't know, the 20th time. Had a blast playing it. It's a great game. I love Streets of Rage. It's probably one of my more favorite beat-em-ups. I'd say that or the Turtles games. They're both equally great, but either way, both great games. Then next up, alright, so I'm just going to be honest. This is probably going to be a long portion of the video too. We're talking about my main homies, my favorite RPG boys, and I brought out all the big guns for this. So technically, the DLC is for this game, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Future Redeemed is the DLC. Now, while I enjoyed this a great deal, I would give this game a solid I'd give it a solid 8. Maybe even an 8.5. I really did enjoy it. And now that I like think about it and I'm stewing on it, I really did enjoy it, right? The characters are good. The side companions are good. But they're not like... They're not... They're not Ryan good. They're not Poppy good. They're not Mia good. Mia. And then Gramps in here. And then Melia. And just... The characters in these games are just far better. Just far better than Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Again, if you're not aware, Rex is arguably probably one of my favorite characters of all time. The story in Xenoblade 2 is just an amazing story to me. Because you start out as this little boy, you're like a little orphan boy, you're hanging out with Gramps, who's the little, he's actually right here, although you probably can't see him. He's essentially your father figure, even though you call him Gramps. And you just go on this epic adventure, and you watch Rex grow up, and you watch him save the world, and just go on this epic-ass adventure. And same for Shulk. Same for Shulk, you know. Although, I guess technically, they never showed his parents either, now that I think about it. But either way, you go on it, again, epic adventure, you meet tons of homies, they're all super memorable. Like, I love both these games to death. To me, these are probably the best 2 games on the Switch, if I'm being honest with you, in my personal opinion. They're like, if you're going to get a Switch, these are probably the 2 first games you should get, for me, if you just really want value for money. But so, in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeem, which is the DLC for this game, technically, although it's really a DLC for the whole series, it kind of culminates all of them into one, and it really just ties in the stories and weaves them together in all the universe's gloriness. So to play all these games, you're talking roughly, to play them all and to really get into the story and get into the lore and the universe and understand it, you have to play all 3 of the main games, and then realistically you kind of need to play the DLC, physical DLC. Talk about that in a sec. So you're talking 300, let's say 200 to 300 hours, somewhere in that range, right? And then you can jump into the Future Redeem DLC, which is a pretty decent sized DLC. And it was really good. I loved every minute of it. The second you see Rex walking up like a fucking badass, and he's just got the 2 swords, and he's just here to fuck shit up. And I was just like, dude, my boy's all grown up finally. And then Shulk comes in, and he's all grown up, and it was such a memorable experience to finally tie all that story together, and I just had an absolute blast with it. It really was a great time, great experience, and I loved every minute of it. I could talk about Xenoblade for absolute hours, I really could. The reason I said that I wanted to talk about this was Future Redeem didn't get a physical release yet. I hope it does. I really hope it does. I really, really hope it does, because I'd love to own all of Xenoblade and be able to preserve it, right? And own it and replay it every so often and visit all the homies again, you know, and really enjoy it. But yeah, so that's Xenoblade Future Redeem. That was something I played over the summer. Next up, I kind of wrote on here that for summertime I played a lot of Zelda, a lot of Pokemon again. I played BattleBit on PC, which is a Battlefield ripoff, basically, but not in a bad way. It's a very good game. I played kind of a lot of it. It's kind of got like a weird, like, Roblox, Minecraft design, but it's like Battlefield with like little cubed characters and level. Everything's cubed and real tiny. So it's actually a really good game. I played it kind of a good bit. Then I actually played Battlefield 2042 kind of a lot, because they started really updating it and really polishing and refining the game finally. And I guess I feel like this was okay. So throughout the year, the DLC kept releasing for this. Is it 6 waves? 5 or 6 waves? I want to say 6. It kept releasing, and obviously every time they came out, I played them and played them and played them and played them. Again, much like with, you know, I'd love a Future Redeem DLC. I'd like to, and I think Nintendo might. They'll either, and I hate to think it, they're either going to re-release a full physical, with all the DLC on it during the Switch's life, or they might do it again with the Switch 2 and then have all the DLC on the cart for Switch 2. Either way, I'm not opposed to it because I'd like to own all of it physical instead of just without it. This is still a launch day copy of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so no DLC on the cartridge there. I don't know when this came out. It's not on my list of when Pikmin 4 came out. So I'm a diehard Pikmin fan. They're here somewhere in my GameCube shelf. Both my Pikmins from when I was a kid. I paid for Pikmin 2 with my own money. So we're talking, I think that came out 03, 04. I would have been 13, 14, and then Pikmin 1 I think was very close to launch. It was a launch window game. Launch window if I'm not mistaken. I think I actually played Pikmin 2 before I played Pikmin 1, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember because that was so long ago. But I love both of them so much. Pikmin 3 was a game changer. Pikmin 2 is really good, but 3 to me was an absolute game changer because you had the gamepad with the screen on it. You used that as the mat. You were nunchucking, Wiimoting to control all your Pikmin. Nothing controls the Pikmin better than the Wiimote and the nunchuck. That motherfucker was made for Pikmin. I think Miyamoto was just like, I'm going to teach you motherfuckers to like Pikmin whether you like it or not, when he was designing them bitches. Because it just works so well and effortlessly to highlight all of the Pikmin and then make a move, and then make Olimar move with the stick and whatnot. Just worked absolutely flawlessly. So I 100%ed Pikmin 3. I 100%ed Pikmin 1 and 2 for that matter. I really love Pikmin is what I'm trying to get at. So Pikmin 4. I have been waiting since Pikmin 3 came out, 2013, because it was a launch window game for the Wii U. I remember picking it up and being just absolutely blown away by the graphics at the time. Because when Pikmin 3 came out, that was pre-PS4 and Xbox One. So those were still some of the better looking console graphics on a game at the time, at least cartoonish wise, because Wii U at the time was technically the most powerful console at the time. Believe it or not, it was. For a very short window of time, it was. And I remember just being blown away by the glass creatures that were in Pikmin 3 and everything. But let me stop mumbling about Pikmin 3 and jump into Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4, very good game, but to me, it was like Pikmin 1 was great. Pikmin 2, they upped it a notch. Pikmin 3 was just even fucking better. And then I'm going to put Pikmin 4, honestly, probably under Pikmin 1. So for me, it would probably be 3, 2, 1, 4. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to give it a solid 8, but in the series, this is my least favorite one. Graphically, it doesn't really look that much better than 3, even though it's on a way more powerful console. Ochi kind of ruins the game, in my opinion. He's too OP, because you ride him around, you carry all your Pikmin, there's no danger of anybody getting lost or going missing. Yeah, they can grab on and grab a couple, but it really doesn't happen, and even if they do, they only get a couple, right? They're not like getting blasted by fire. They're not and even if they do, they're gonna you're gonna run away quick enough or whatever. Then he can jump on everything, and I don't know, maybe it's just in my nature to try to jump through shit that I shouldn't and glitch my way through shit. I don't know, but with Ochi, you can kind of cheat your way through so much shit. And I guess technically you don't have to use him, but I don't know, if you dangle money in front of me, of course I'm going to grab it. Of course I'm going to use the OP character if you give him to me. So, and I've already said this a few times on the channel, the way I think they can handle Ochi in the future so they don't have to just axe him from the series, I think they should make it so, spoilers, at the end of the game you go back to Earth for, I forget the reason, but you go back and they leave it on a cliffhanger pothole to where clearly they're definitely making Pikmin 5. This one sold well finally, which is fantastic. I'm glad it did. But so you go back to Earth. What I think they should do is for Ochi, they should make it to where he's like a timid, scared dog, and he only appears after he's done being afraid, right? He'll reappear in the level at select times to help you out, right? I feel like that would make it to where he's not just so OP to play with. Because when you're running around with this guy, and then mind you, you can level up and they have light RPG aspects to the characters and Ochi, and then also, I believe the Pikmin you could upgrade a little bit. No, was just the character's Ochi, or your gear rather. But so you can upgrade Ochi to where he can carry, I think it was either 100 or 200 Pikmin's worth of shit. So you could essentially just send him out to just go grab everything, and nobody's going to be able to kill him. I don't think I ever saw him die. So like you would just send him out to go pick up some heavy shit, and then you could go do other stuff. And then that brings me back to Pikmin 3. So, and maybe they couldn't because of the constraints of not having the screen and then being able to multitask. But in Pikmin 3, you were able to control 3 separate people at one time. And honestly, thinking about it, I want to just go back and play that game again because it was just so much better. You could have one dude doing water shit. You could have another dude dealing with the electric fence, with the electric guys, the yellow ones. Then you could have another guy dealing with water issues. Or you could have that guy gathering the Pikmin flowers. You could just multitask and do all sorts of different shit at one time. Whereas this one, it's really focused, and you pretty much just ride on Ochi the entire time. And it really just makes it a very childish game in the sense that it's just so easy to play. There's no real challenge in this one. So again, it's a good game, but graphically they didn't improve much, and then also it's just too easy. Cutting the video. While I was editing the video, I realized that I forgot to talk about my game of the year. And in order for me to talk about this properly, to grab some backstory, I gotta grab my original copy of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo. Okay, so obviously we're talking about that. Super Mario RPG. Spent about 20 hours beating this game. Had an absolute blast with this game. This was such a breathtaking experience to jump back into and to play it again. I couldn't put it down. Every day after work, all day long at work, I'm just sitting there like, oh man, I want to go jump on some Goombas and some Koopas and some, PD Piranhas and just do all sorts of things. Listen to the great soundtrack in the game. This is a 10 out of 10. This is a RPG classic of epic proportions. 10 out of 10 in the sense of the music is just great. So the music is slightly remixed from the original, right? But it's largely the same. So it's not like you're going to listen to it and be like, oh, this is completely different. It's mostly the same. And that's a good thing. It's like tweaked up and a little bit different, right? And there is an option to just play with the classic music, which is cool. The other thing about it that really just makes this such a great game is that, have you ever just played a game and you're like really into it, right? You like the characters, you like the story, you like the scenery, you like the adventure that you're going on, but it just kind of gets to a point where you're like dreading the next boss fight, you're dreading the next town you got to go to, you're waiting for the next spicy moment in the game, right? This game doesn't have any of those dull moments where you're just like, where's the next fun thing? It's just non-stop, fun thing, go to the next town, fun thing, go to the next town, fun things, go to the next town, fun things, oh, here's a boss, fun things, next town, fun things, here's another boss. And it's just constant one-upping to the next area on the map. And then it's very RPG light, right? So you're not like super duper upgrading. Like, yeah, there's stores where you can buy different armors and this and that. And yes, the lazy shell and the lazy armor and the super gun that you get for Geno are all, I would argue, pretty necessary things to even do the last boss fight. But you don't like have to have them, right? Like, you can do it without it, but it's pretty impossible in my opinion. But it's just such a non-stop ride of an experience that you go on with this game. And I mean, while Xenoblades are really good, and I said that those are definitely like must-have Switch games, this is probably the third must-have Switch game if I were to ever make a list. Not necessarily in any particular order, but this is definitely a must-have Switch game. And just in general, like if you're a Mario fan, an RPG fan, a Switch owner, this is a must-have game. Like, you absolutely owe it to yourself as a gamer to pay the price to play this game, because it's 100% worth every single penny. You will go away from this having a huge shit-eating grin on it every time you get done playing the game. It's just that good. The combat is just so simplistic and effortless, and the way you can kind of chain things together, like with one character you'll have one do one move, then you'll have another one heal you real quick, and then you'll have Peach do some kind of other nonsense real quick to take out the character that's over here. And it just, the way it's set up and just everything about it is just perfectly and so effortlessly done for this game. And with that being said, this is my game of the year for sure. Not sure where I'm going to end up cutting this into the video, but I completely forgot to put it in while I was talking about it because it was in a different stack of Switch games. So I didn't grab it until I was editing it. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't talk about Super Mario freaking RPG. But yeah, wonderful game. You really owe it to yourself to pick this one up. Back to the video. Uncut. Alright, so that's that. Alright, so next up are two games that I got digitally. At the beginning, late last year, I decided to be somewhat smart about something. I spend a lot of money on games every year, but I was like, I could probably get some for free. So I found out that Sony offers a credit card. And with that credit card, you can use the points to buy PSN points, aka money. So throughout the year, I did all my grocery shopping, my gas, medical bills, you name it, credit card or cell phone, whatever, paid it with my credit card, right? So I just kept racking up points, and getting games. The three big games that I got for essentially free this year were, I'm going to go over two of them. The third one I didn't actually beat yet, and that's going to be a next year game. Final Fantasy XVI, so that's the first game we're going to talk about. I liked it a lot. The first half of the game is really good. So it kind of reminds me of Xenogears in the sense that the first half of the game is a banger, and then the second half is... It's not as bad to where you're like reading a story like Xenogears, but to me, the second half of Final Fantasy XVI was very boring because it's just boss fight after boss fight after boss fight after boss fight after boss fight. Hike a little bit, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight. Hike a little bit more up to this castle. Boss fight, 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 boss fight. Castle destroyed. Hike a little bit more. Boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight. Hike a little bit more. 20 more boss fights. Travel up to space. 2 or 3 boss fights up here with Ifrit and the Phoenix, and then travel back down, and then more boss fights. And it was just too many fucking boss fights at the end of the game. It was fucking ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. So the beginning of the story is so cool because you're like, there's 2 princes, your mom's a crazy cunt, and she's banging the other king, but you didn't know that till really the end of the game, really. But then the other... Was she possessed or was the king possessed? I think the king was possessed, but she was banging the king to try to get favor for her people, but really she was evil. Then at the beginning of the game, you have this guy named Sid. He's kind of like a father figure to you. He was like good friends with like your uncle, I guess. It's been a little while. I guess I beat this in June, so it's been about 6 months since I beat it. But I just remember Sid being this badass character, and sorry for the spoilers, but Sid dies a little bit over halfway through the game. And I was so blown by it because I was just like, dude, you just killed off like the homie. That was the cool character, right? I mean, the main character's cool, and your little brother that you're trying to rescue through the whole game. And then later in the game, you meet up with him, and then he's with you. They're cool. They're both okay characters. But Sid was like the cool character. He smoked cigarettes. I just want to smoke cigarettes and do hood rat things with my friends, kind of character. And he was all powerful, and he was like a father. And he was like a father figure to you and whatnot. And just when he died, it just really blew me away, and I was kind of pissed about it. But so, I really enjoyed it. It was a good game. If I replayed it again and again, eventually I will buy it physically, and it's been on sale for a hot minute now for $40, which is a good deal. It's worth the 40. I would even say it's worth 60. Maybe even 70. It is a very good game. Beautiful game, too. It's pretty well paced and everything, and the story is good. But it's just, for me, at the end, there was just too many boss fights. It was just too much. Too much. And now Alex is talking too much about these boss fights. Alright, so next up, I think next came out Armored Core 6. Now, I didn't actually beat that game, so that's going to be a next year game that I'm really going to harken down and try to beat and put some serious time into. But it was one of the games that I got for free with my credit card thing. The next game that I did get for free and did beat is Spider-Man 2. I got just the normal edition for this and Final Fantasy. Spider-Man 2. So, on one hand, I bitch about games being too short. On the other hand, I'll bitch about a game being too long. Which camp do you think Spider-Man 2 falls in? The too short camp. The map is huge. Compared to the first one, they added a good bit of land to it. There was like the whole little suburb area where he lives. They added, and then I think there was like a strip off of Manhattan that they added as well, if I'm not mistaken. The game took me roughly about 12 to 14 hours to beat. It wasn't long. It was very short. So, like, on one hand, I appreciate a short game, but on the other hand, like, they could have added some filler to where you had to do some side quests or mini quests to earn the side quest or to earn the main quest. They could have fluffed it out something. Like, again, I was just bitching about Final Fantasy being fluffed out too much with too many boss fights. But this game was just too short. The story is very good. I like what they're setting up in the universe that they're doing as far as the Spider-Man universe. You can tell that they're setting it up to do their own Marvel universe. I can kind of just see it happening, and I can tell that, and it was already leaked, or supposedly leaked about the Insomniac leaked documents. And on a side note, I'm pretty fucking irritated that we have to wait till 2029 to play another Ratchet and fucking Clank when we get what? One a console generation now? When the first PS2 we had 4 of them motherfuckers? And then PS3 we had 3, and then PS4 we had 1, which was a shit remake. I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't great. And then PS5 was essentially another remake. Oh no, PS4 was... Yeah, no, that was a remake. Or not even, it was like a reimagining of it, and then so was the PS5 one. No, the PS5 one is a continuation. The PS4 one was the reimagining with the movie. Sidetrack. I always get sidetracked. Whatever. Spider-Man 2, really enjoyed it, but it was just too short. The story was very good. Spider-Man's my favorite character. Then Batman. And then I don't know who, but Spider-Man, Batman. Spider-Man, the way they set it up is just very good. Spoilers again, but if you're watching this, these are games I beat, so you should know that going into the video. But, shocker, they kill him. But they kind of bitch kill him. You don't even see him. You just see his gloves and his mask. Like, that's kind of one of the main villains in Spider-Man. Like, how are you going to just bitch kill him like that and not even show it on camera? Like, at least give us a cutscene of, like, him getting choked out by Kraven or whatever. Or, Scorpion dies. You save the professor. They show Otto at the end teaming up with Osborn. Obviously, Harry's sick at the end of the game. He loses the suit. It's just they killed, and then Kraven obviously he dies too. He straight munches his head off, which was pretty badass. It's kind of a gory game, I'll give it that. But all right, so that was Spider-Man 2. Next up, we had kind of a trio of platformers here. The most influential and popular one being Super Mario Wonder. I'm kind of in the camp that I enjoyed this a lot, but I also kind of didn't. So I've played every Mario to completion at this point. I'm such a Mario diehard that I feel like this strives away from the formula too much. Now, I've never been one to complain about playing the same game over and over again. I'm a Nintendo fan first and foremost, right? So, being a Nintendo fan means I like going through 8 Zelda dungeons, finding the map and the compass, and the small keys, and opening up the treasure chests, and getting all the items to progress. And it doesn't bother me, and I like doing that over and over and over again every 4 or 5 years. Mario games, again, with 2Ds, they stopped, after the Super, and then we didn't get any more until, well, you had the Game Boy ones, but you didn't get any new ones until DS, and then Wii, and then Wii U, and then they kind of stopped for a while. And then we got this. And then the 3D ones have been going on since 64. The 3D one, I feel like, is where they should change stuff and make it different every time. But with the 2D, I don't know. To me, they changed too much. I like going to a lava world. I like going to a fire world. I just said the same thing. I like going to an ice world. I like going to a sky world. I like going to a forest world. I like going to a desert world. This one where it was like you'd get 2 forest worlds, then it would be fire world. Then it would be sky fire world. But then it would be like swamp world level. And then it was all over the place. To me, there was no synchronicity with the level designs, in my opinion. There was just too much. It was too... And then some of the levels were 5 seconds, and some of them were long as fuck, and then some of them were like super platformy, and then some of them were just like run on the ground. I don't know. It was just it kind of just felt like almost like every developer was like, all right, you get to make 1 level. That's what it felt like to me. Like they just didn't mesh well. They didn't flow well to me. And then as far as power-ups go, you had the like air bubble, water bubble power up. Then you had the drill and the elephant. And then you obviously had the flower power and then the mushroom. Pretty bland. And then even then, you never get them. You never get to use them. They're very few in between. You really don't get to use them very often. So for me, this is probably... I would probably say my least favorite 2D Mario. I'm going to go out on record and say this is probably my least favorite 2D Mario game. It's good, for sure, but definitely my least favorite. Alright, next up, I'll be quicker. Here we got Kirby Deluxe. This is a super old game for the Wii. They redid it graphically. It looks amazing on the Switch, and especially in OLED mode on the handheld, or if you have an OLED TV. Sonic Superstars, pretty good game. I'd give it like a solid 7. It's not the best Sonic in the world, but it's definitely pretty good as far as 2D platformer goes. Music is really good. I like the art style of the characters and everything, and the level design. It's a pretty good game. I would pick it up. I think it's worth it. Alright, so then we did, here recently, I did a bunch of pickups for shoot 'em ups. I got Raystorm Ray Crisis HD Collection, streamed this and beat it. And then I got Akikatana, Shin, streamed it and beat it. And then I also got Death Smiles 1 and 2, streamed them and beat both of them in the same stream. And the last game here, last game of the year in preparation for next year's first big PlayStation exclusive, being Final Fantasy Rebirth. I replayed Final Fantasy VII Remake for the PS5. I bought the PS5 version. I had already played it on PS4 Pro on the PS5 when the PS5 first came out. That I was actually still playing through that right when that came out. I had just gotten it on sale for like $20. Rebought it for the PS5. This is going to be my forever copy now. I replayed this. I really enjoyed this. I really forgot how much I enjoyed the story and the camaraderie and just the story that they have telling here. You know, is just, it's very Final Fantasy, or Xenoblade-esque in the sense that you're going out with your homies on an adventure. And I mean, I know that's what RPGs are. Like a good RPG is you really feel like they're your homies and you're going on an adventure with them. To me, that's what makes a good RPG. If you don't have that, and it's the same thing with like a Naughty Dog game where you get emotionally invested in the characters and you feel that care and that want to know that character is safe and that they're going on the adventure with you and that they're, you know, a part of your team and all that shit. Like, to me, that's what makes like a good RPG. So like, I love Barrett. Like, Barrett's just fun because he's always like at the end of, like, not all the battles, but like every once in a while he'll sing the little tune at the end of a battle. And Tifa's always cheering you up and whatnot. And then Aerith is just a cool character who's, I don't know, I just really enjoyed the team and Cloud just being Mr. Macho Man, like, I don't need your help all the time and stuff. It's just a really good game, and I really enjoyed it. This is coming from somebody who never played the original game, and I really do thoroughly enjoy it. I think you guys should definitely pick this up and play it. I will let you know, though, this version is pretty hard to find. I actually bought this from GameStop, about $70. It goes for about $1.50 on eBay. So I highly recommend just getting it from GameStop if you can. Hopefully they will mail you a complete copy like they did for me. Really good game. I can't wait for Rebirth. Rebirth's 2 discs. So this took me about 40 hours to beat. So I'm hoping that Rebirth takes like 80 to 100 hours, that would be absolutely awesome if it takes like a really long time and is really worth that $70 price tag. So next year, I'm actually already, and let me grab, well, we'll save it for next year and you guys can see which cool RPG on the PS5 I'm currently playing. So you're going to have to wait a whole nother year to figure that out. But I'm already started on the new RPG for the PS5 that I'm playing. So those are all the games that I beat for this year. Be sure to leave a comment down below of all the games that you beat this year, because I want to know. I want to know if you played any of this lovely lot of games, or if you plan on playing some of these. I didn't beat as many games as I wanted to this year. There was still more stuff that I played for sure. Just random retro games that I put in from time to time and play. Burnout, Outrun, Battlefront, just random shit. But I didn't beat them, so like I didn't really put them in the list here, and I didn't play them enough to where I felt like I wanted to include it in the list here. But so yeah, that's all the games, man. I had a lot of fun playing these games this year, and I really am encouraging you guys to leave a comment down below of what you guys beat and some stuff that was very memorable to you, and if you played any of this stuff, and what you're looking forward to next year. If you could also, and if you made it this far, obviously you're a real one, and you probably are one of my real subscribers who enjoys the channel actually. So leave a comment down below of videos that you do want to see from me in the future, so that I have some ideas of what you guys may or may not actually want me to make in the future. A lot of the times I just kind of willy-nilly make videos because I enjoy them, but let me know, some stuff that you guys might enjoy, or the stuff that I do make that you do enjoy. Because I never really know. I never really have been able to get a good grasp of what people truly want. If I make an Xbox video, people really want them, and they enjoy them, but then I don't get any likes or comments on them, so it's like, well, then clearly you guys don't fucking enjoy it. So then I'll make some other video, whatever video, random video that I make, and then it'll do great. And then I'll do another one like it, and then it'll do bad. So like, I just never know what you guys want me to make, so maybe some clarification would be nice. And again, if you made it this far, hopefully you have a good New Year's. Hopefully you stay safe and all that stuff. See you in the New Year's, guys. Peace out for now. Till next time.
Come here, you motherfucker! This is it, baby.